to our viewers on ASI News Broadcast, bringing you the latest top news for today. Cutting Fannie, Freddie subsidies a win-win for GOP. A report released Thursday by the Congressional Budget Office showed that trimming federal subsidies to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac would reduce the federal budget deficit by $8.4 billion over 10 years. As the soon-to-be Republican Congress looks to pass legislation that will further a limited government agenda or force President Obama to veto popular legislation, reducing subsidies for those outdated government-sponsored enterprises presents a viable option. The GOP's main goal in the coming session of Congress is to prove it can govern competently before the 2016 elections. To do so, the party must identify limited government policy reforms that are effective and popular. Obama will not sign overly ambitious policy proposals which will only provide fodder for Democrats when they court independent voters in 2016. Republicans will be on record voting for legislation, but because the legislation won't go into effect, there won't be an opportunity for Americans to experience real-world benefits of any policies, making them more susceptible to Democratic scare tactics. Reform proposals that fight unpopular special interests and cut government spending would make it clear the GOP can still defend its ideology against powerful lobbyists. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac remain unpopular among the public, largely because of their role in exacerbating the 2008 financial crisis. Legislation to increase guarantee fees on loans assessed by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac would save an average $840 million a year over the next 10 years, according to CBO estimates. Unfortunately, the annual savings would amount to less than 1% of the $536 billion projected deficit in 2016. Without power over the executive branch, the GOP won't be able to pass the significant reforms necessary to balance the federal budget. But passing legislation to reduce federal subsidies for Fannie and Freddie would show that the GOP is serious about standing up to special interests and can govern competently with unified control of the government. If Obama signs the bill, the GOP will achieve a policy victory that makes them look capable of finding bipartisan areas of agreement. If Obama vetoes the bill, he will make the Democrats look like the party of Wall Street supported corporate welfare and make Republicans look like populists. Cutting subsidies to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac is a win-win proposition for the GOP. More taxpayer aid headed to UN for victims of Syrian civil war. The U.S. is contributing another $135 million in relief to victims of Syria's civil war in response to a waning. The U.S. is contributing another $135 million in relief to victims of Syria's civil war in response to a warning by the United Nations that it was running out of money to fund a program that provides food to people impacted by the conflict. This financial assistance by the U.S. would go mainly to the UN World Food Program and pushes the amount contributed by American taxpayers past the $3 billion mark, according to a report published by Reuters. This financial assistance by the U.S. would go mainly to the UN World Food Program and pushes the amount contributed by American taxpayers past the $3 billion mark, according to a report published by Reuters. Meanwhile, the U.S. intends to offer residency to about 7,000 Syrian civil war refugees, among them Iraqis and Iranians, as well as Syrians. The refugees are currently based in Turkey. The new funding will help feed vulnerable people inside Syria, Syrian refugees in Turkey, and Syrian refugees in other countries, read a statement from the office of Vice President Joe Biden. Biden is currently traveling in Turkey on an official visit. Thanks for watching. Those were the latest news brought to you from the American Studies Institute from Tehran. You can also check our website at www.asipress.us.